Iran is once again at the center of global attention as fresh reports emerge of an intensified crackdown on dissent, raising urgent questions about the regime's stability and the future of the protest movement. What began as scattered demonstrations has evolved into a nationwide crisis, with growing evidence that authorities are expanding their use of force to silence opposition. Over the past several days, witnesses and human rights organizations report that security forces have increased their presence in major cities, including Tehran, Mashhad, Isfahan, and Shiraz. Protesters say streets are now heavily patrolled by riot police, intelligence units, and armed militias, creating an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. According to activists, security forces are conducting mass arrests, targeting not only protesters but also journalists, doctors, artists, and business owners suspected of sympathizing with the movement. Families claim loved ones have been taken without warrants, often during nighttime raids, and held in undisclosed locations. Iranian authorities, however, insist these actions are necessary to maintain public order and national security. One of the most alarming developments is the continued restriction of information. Internet disruptions and regional blackouts have made it extremely difficult to verify events on the ground. Videos that do manage to escape the country show clashes between protesters and security forces, with tear gas, batons, and live ammunition reportedly being used in some areas. Human rights groups warn that hospitals are under pressure as well. Medical staff are allegedly being questioned for treating injured protesters, and in some cases, wounded individuals fear seeking care, believing hospitals are being monitored by security forces. This has raised international concern about violations of basic humanitarian principles. Meanwhile, Iran's leadership has taken an increasingly defiant tone. Hardline clerics and officials have accused foreign governments and media outlets of orchestrating unrest, calling the protests an external conspiracy rather than a domestic uprising. State television continues to downplay the scale of demonstrations, while labeling protesters as criminals or extremists. Despite the crackdown, signs of resistance remain. Protest slogans continue to appear in public spaces. Labor strikes are reported in key industries, and acts of civil disobedience persist across multiple provinces. Analysts say this reflects deep-rooted frustration over economic hardship, political repression, and social restrictions that have built up over years. International reaction is also intensifying. Western governments have condemned the violence and called for accountability, while some countries are considering additional sanctions. At the same time, diplomatic efforts remain limited, with no clear pathway toward dialogue between Tehran and its critics. Experts are divided on what comes next. Some believe the regime's heavy-handed approach may temporarily suppress protests, while others warn it could further radicalize public anger and fuel long-term instability. What is clear is that Iran is facing one of the most critical moments in its recent history. As events continue to unfold, the situation remains fluid and unpredictable. With information tightly controlled and tensions running high, the world is watching closely to see whether Iran's leadership can contain the unrest, or whether the protests will evolve into something far more consequential. This is a developing story, and we will continue to bring you the latest updates as they happen. Stay informed, stay aware, and subscribe for real-time global breaking news.